In the second part of this lesson, we're basically going to transition into your standard chip, which we've, worked on before. We've spent some time as we transition into that chip. Hopefully you use the same motion, right? Just like in putting, we talked about varying ball position. Here in chipping, you can do the same thing, right? If you visually want to see higher ball flight, you want the trajectory to be a little bit higher, you can move that ball more toward the middle of your stance. You want it to come off lower, de-loft the club, have it run out a little bit, right? I want you to hit these next three. Let's hit one farther back in your stance. Let's have it run a little bit more. So visualize that lower ball flight, something that comes in, it's going to skid and skip a little bit more. Have a little bit more run out. That's 3 different ways, 3 different ball positions that you can vary your trajectory and hit 3 different shots with a pitching wedge. Now, you can do the same thing, as you know, with a sand wedge, a lob wedge, you can do the same thing. And on shots like this, it's much like putting or getting into the 6-ball drill where you have to control the speed, right? If you can control the speed on your putts, usually can be a pretty good putter, right? Then it just comes down to reading the green and making sure you hopefully pick the right line. Chips are a lot of the same thing, deciding how fast it's going to go, being able to control that speed, really, really important. I want you to hit one more with that, and then I'm going to give you your wedge, and we're going to see if we can recreate that same type of tempo with your own club. We're still working on our pretty standard square-faced pitch. No need to open up the club face. You got 2 different club options, a 60 or a 56-degree wedge. Both of those have plenty of loft to get the ball up in the air without us manipulating the face or opening it up. It's a good transition to go into bunker shots, right? Because our bunker setup is going to be more like that flop shot where your feet get a little bit open. We open up the club face a little bit to increase the bounce, and we'll transition that when we go into the bunker. Throw into a different scenario. Let's switch to where you have almost no green to work with. We'll go to this first flag. You kind of have to hit that,
nice and high.
Your first option, right? The high explosion shot. All by taking the same type of swing, just changing the club. So that kind of relates back to what we were talking about when we were doing our chipping lesson last week, right? You can take 3 different clubs based on the ball position, you can have different shots, right? The swing can be very similar, just switch in a different club to get a different result. Let's go back to some of the things that we've worked on just slightly in the past. We've talked about trying to get you to more of a one-piece takeaway, right? Less of a quick hinge or a movement here. Typically for you, what we've seen in the past is as you hinge, your hands move away from you and the club head starts to work behind your body. So the same thing we were working on with our hands, settling just a touch farther forward. I wouldn't mind seeing the same thing. Good. Yeah, and I want you to have that same feeling that we used on that little drill before of that right arm staying in front of your body. Try the same thing. So hands, club head, shoulders move at the same time. Right arm stays in front. So like all lag putts, the speed is even more important after you pick your line. And as we talked about in our very first lesson, putting, controlling your speed has a lot to do with dictating your line, especially when you have this much slope on a green.